Our first story comes from MarketWatch. Fiserv has reached an agreement to acquire First Data in an all-stock deal with an equity value of $22 billion. Fiserv shareholders will own 57.5% of the combined entity, while First Data shareholders will own the remaining 42.5%. The deal is expected to boost adjusted per share earnings by more than 20% in the first full year after close. And Jeffrey Yabuki, the chief executive of Fiserv, said, through this transformative combination, we expect to redefine the manner in which people and institutions move money and information. Sarah, dive right in. Let's pick up on that little snigger. I like it.
It's fine. I mean, this is big news. We talk about mega mergers. This is a mega merger.
This set Twitter alight.
It did, with people on both sides of the fence about which way it's going to go. I mean, basically, payments is a scale game, so you have to be big. This is a kind of a whole new level. Well, not a whole new level. We saw Vantiv and WorldPay do something similar. But for me, the interesting thing here is that it's different parts of, you want to call it the supply chain, I suppose. Yeah. So you've got core banking, you've got payments processing, and they've become a mammoth. Now, that could go one of two ways, right? It could be we've got the scale, we've got access into all these different, not only banks, but technologies. You know, they run Clover, First Data's mobile point of sale. They work with Zelle, which is
that competes with the likes of Square and has customers like Walmart and Lyft.
I mean, they have fingers in many, many pies. The interesting thing to me is they talk about, you know, all these savings they're going to make and all the extra revenue they're going to make. But how, like, if oil tankers take years to turn, how long is it going to take two oil tankers to turn? How long is it going to take them to actually merge before they're actually up and running to be able to do anything, is my question on this one, I think.
I always think when it comes to those kind of scalar companies, the thing is it takes so long, it takes years. But then at the same time, from the outside point of view, from maybe whether it's the end consumer or investors, is that they almost want to see changes and their integration straight away. Like 1 year is too long, 2 years is way too long. But in fact, it really does take about 5 years to truly integrate two massive, as you say, oil tankers to actually make some meaningful merging in order to grow that revenue and change. But
yeah, I think that's completely right, and it'd be really interesting to see because they've made some big claims like 500 million more profit, 900 million in savings, but they have got a history of buying up technology and integrating it over the last 20, 30 years, haven't they, and making that work really well for them rather than building it from scratch. So I wonder whether they feel they've done it with smaller mergers, and now let's try the big one.
I think what'll be interesting to see is whenever you have this kind of merger of these two large corporations is whether or not they can see the wood for the trees in all the stuff that needs to happen to integrate, to actually see the customer on the other end and see how they can actually leverage the capabilities of Fiserv for First Data to provide even better service to customers.
Yeah, I mean, there's also going to be, I mean, we were actually talking about this on InsurTech this week, but there's going to be like duplication of everything. And particularly if they're talking about, you know, this merger is going to help them stand up against the Squares of the world and you know, all those different innovative fintechs and all the different areas they touch. Fiserv will have millions of innovation hubs, you know, First Data will have millions of innovation hubs. That's, you know, those should be the easy ones to merge because they're small teams and agile and nimble. And I bet it'll take them 2 years to get their acts together. So I'm intrigued, and it is definitely big news. But I think exactly as Lianna says, it's going to be at least 12 to 24 months before anything actually meaningful happens here.
It's big news, and I think it's that potential, right? But you know, they talked about the sort of revenue gains and all that potential. It's sort of adding, or it's fanning the flames. None of that's obviously been realized. It's not going to be realized for quite some time. I wonder what this means from almost like a cross-sell play, whether they'll be able, you know, Fiserv will be able to cross-sell to First Data's customers and vice versa.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. When I was looking, there was actually a Bloomberg piece, because I didn't know much about the previous mergers that you'd mentioned, Lucy. And it actually says that First Data has really, like, struggled recently because they did buy a load of companies, they got a huge load of debt, and they've actually really struggled to do the turnaround on their own. So when you looked at the what happened to the share price, First Data rocketed 21% and Fiserv dropped, I think it was like 9% or something. So it's kind of almost like one company on the up, one company on the down. It's fairly classic for a merger, but... And
that digital acquiring space from First Data's perspective is becoming increasingly competitive.
Yeah, I mean, they've got competition coming from areas they didn't even know they were going to have competition. So
It's usually easy to see when you have a large corporate gobbling up someone small, and to see how long it takes before that small, agile, nimble company starts getting absorbed, I think, into the Borg, so to speak. And but I think it'll be interesting to see what happens between Fiserv and First Data over time.
I'm just going to put it out there that David Cameron joined First Data's board about 12 months ago.
Surprised it wasn't George Osborne.
No,
He likes all the jobs, right?
And, I mean, everything David Cameron touches turns to gold, right?
Exactly, exactly.
I think my favorite thing to come out of this story was a Twitter exchange from our head of delivery, Adam Davis, and I think your good self, Sarah.
Oh dear, what did I say?
Well, it was Adam's quote that I
Delete your
particularly liked. It said, "Is this Achilles' last stand, or is big back in vogue in financial services?"
Yeah, I think because I said whichever way you look at it, it's big. But I don't think I was quite as eloquent. Achilles' last stand.
Or back in vogue. What a lovely, like you said, eloquent. It sounds like, I think around the table we're pretty unanimous on this.